Coming up on today's episode of The Traction Show.
Where they are saying कि सर मैंने एक क्लास देखी या 2 क्लास देखी एक दिन में, मेरा डेटा खत्म हो गया जियो का. 3 घंटे की क्लासेस अगर चलती हैं डेली, it's a very big problem for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's explore conversations with the best growth and product minds behind your favorite companies. Welcome to The Traction Show. And here's your host, Abhinav Arora. Abhinav, the stage is yours.
Howdy, good folks. Welcome to the very first episode of this new podcast called The Traction Show. So far, I've brought to you stories of SaaS growth leaders, but there are a lot of sectors booming and there's a lot that I have to share. There are a lot of things happening in the ecosystem and I want to bring it all out to you. So today, with this first episode of The Traction Show, we're going to start covering sectors across internet. And today I have with me Kunal. Kunal is the business head of DailyLearn. DailyLearn is a project incubated by Daily Hunt. That's one of the biggest unicorns of the last 2 years that we have. Daily Hunt is, you guys are valued at 3 billion.
Yes, 3.4 billion.
DailyLearn, you're competing against Byju's and an academy.
No, not at all. So we are primarily competing with the brick and mortar tuition centers in India.
आप बात कर रहे हो भारत की.
Yep.
ठीक है. And there is this notion that gets thrown around a lot कि building for Bharat बहुत different है than building from India. What is the difference between the definition of Bharat and India?
Think of it like a town, right? अब भारत में आप ये नहीं expect कर सकते हो. For example, there is Bangalore, right? Now there is Kolar. You know, there's a huge difference between the audience of Bangalore and Kolar. उनकी जो patterns हैं, उनके जो buying behavior हैं, and it's not that they cannot pay, right? By the way, that's a separate discussion altogether. But उनका पूरा usage pattern, buying behavior काफी different है. You cannot expect, people of Kolar have the same pattern what you expect from maybe people in Koramangala, right? So usually people jump on because it's easier to have a proof of concept. तो चलो कोरमंगला का कुछ बना लेते हैं या फिर इंदिरा नगर का कुछ बना लेते हैं, right? It's easy to have a proof of concept. उसके बाद उसको replicate कर लेंगे.
Can you tell me, when we talk about Bharat, who are we really talking about? And when we talk about India, who are we really talking about?
EdTech perspective से अगर आप देखते हो, तो people are more aware in India, right? They are aware about things. They are willing to research. एक अगर आप better product लाते हो, and if you command a price, possibly a person from India can pay for it. In Bharat, right? It's the normal behavior that if something is priced higher, that must be good. If something is priced lower, then possibly it's not that well. सस्ता है, cheap है, right? तो ये quality नहीं आएगी. People are willing to take education loans, send their kids to Fiji, Kota, Bansal, Resonance, all that names you could take.
They take loans for
exam prep, right? Where they are not even taking their kids, they are not ensuring that kid is getting admitted to IIT. It's just about the preparation of that, right?
How does a Bharat student learn differently than an Indian student?
Internet access. For example, I'll just take a use case, right? We started this DailyLearn and then we felt that there are a lot of student complaints coming in where they are saying कि सर मैंने एक क्लास देखी या 2 क्लास देखी एक दिन में, मेरा डेटा खत्म हो गया जियो का.
ये बड़ा कॉमन था.
Very common. It's still common. अभी भी 1 GB डेटा पे they spend 1 GB per day. अब 700 MB में 1 घंटा स्ट्रीम किया, उसके पास डेटा ही नहीं है फिर वापस से स्ट्रीम करने के लिए, राइट? 3 घंटे की क्लासेस अगर चलती हैं डेली, इट्स अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम फॉर देम, राइट? देन कैन देयर बी अ लो लेटेंसी प्लेटफॉर्म, राइट? कैन वी एक्चुअली एंश्योर दैट देयर आर लेसर बैंडविड्थ बीइंग कंज्यूम्ड व्हेन दे आर एक्चुअली स्ट्रीमिंग दीज लाइव क्लासेस, राइट? भारत में भी मैं एक्सट्रीमली रूरल एरिया की बात कर रहा हूँ जहाँ पे कि बिल्कुल ग्रामीण बच्चे हैं, राइट? एंड देन देयर इज अनदर एरिया व्हिच इज अ लिटिल suburb, right? Very cool, very happy, who is trying to match the steps with India. कि मुझे उनके साथ मैच करना है. So while in India, you can still provide them the content through their own devices. Right? Even if it's a shared one, still you expect that they might consume the content through device. But जब हम बिल्कुल rural areas की बात करते हैं, so then device is not a solution because उनके पास device ही नहीं है, उनके पास internet ही नहीं है, तो वो आप उनको online दोगे कहाँ से? Right? That's a challenge. So that's where we started something. We are still, piloting that with a firm, and we call it.
But that must be a hardware play, no?
That's not a hardware play. What we started doing, that we started setting up micro tuition centers.
Okay.
A micro tuition center which can be enabled maybe with an investment of, let's say, as low as 75K.
Okay.
We enable someone to pay 75K. We have a very small setup in his house, in his locality, where he can start the physical online centers with the basic infra, and the classes could be delivered I mean, the classes are being streamed online, but it's being delivered in a physical center.
What else is a problem? Availability of tech, वो आप tuition centers से solve करो. और क्या problem है? Going to Bharat for EdTech.
So you are more familiar with your setup. अभी आप यहाँ पे हो, राइट? मैं यहाँ पे हूँ, तो आई कैन बी familiar with the setup. Now think of it, एक गांव का बच्चा या tier 3 का बच्चा, उसको उसका setup familiar लगता है. तो when you start teaching him something, you start quoting examples from his day-to-day life, which he is familiar with. For me, I'll just take you an example. हमारे 3 courses चलते हैं अगर राजस्थान में, हरियाणा में, बिहार में. All 3 ideally will be in Hindi, right? But we have different teachers to deliver the lectures for all these 3 state boards separately. Why? Because the teacher will be familiar with the setup of Haryana. He'll also have that natural twang or dialect or that accent which these people will feel more familiar with. आप देखोगे तो छोटे शहरों में all these tuition centers, or they are very influential people in the teachers community, right? And they are very bigger brand. For example, Khan sir, he's famous only because he had a particular accent which connected with the audience of a particular region,
and he covers
maybe UP,
everything
Bihar,
trendy.
right?
Yeah.
So similarly, we have the teachers who have that familiar accent, right? Who know the setup, who can quote examples. अब केरला में मैं पढ़ा रहा हूँ, मैंने boat race का example ले लिया और maths का example solve करा दिया. Now that will be more connected to a person in Kerala. But अगर बिहार वाले को मैं boat race के बारे में बताऊंगा तो थोड़ा सा वो disconnected feel करेगा.
So you're saying curriculum strategy also has to be very focused. Like Kerala को हम Kerala के examples देंगे,
right?
With Kerala with Malayalam speaking teachers who have that dialect.
बिल्कुल.
Are you able to do that much personalization? It's on your roadmap.
Yes. At least in Bihar, Haryana, and we are starting with Rajasthan. Haryana and Bihar, we have already done that.
Hey, fantastic, dude. I like the social angle of this, that how you're solving a social problem. It's an impact sort of a venture, but you're confident that this also has monetization. I mean, there's real dhanda here.
It can be monetized, right?
Okay.
There are students, right? I mean, the students are, for example, I told you in Patna alone, it's a 500 crore industry, and people are actually staying there in hostels, right? They're paying the rent, they're paying the fooding, lodging, everything, right? And plus they have the aspiration to, because at the end of the day, very, very, personal experience. I spoke with one tea seller there, right? He was willing to enroll his kid to a tuition center which was very popular. He was willing to pay 1 lakh rupees, whatever he had saved so far, and he could collect it from others and then give it to that institute. But he was not willing to compromise on the quality which his kid will get.
Right.
Possibly in a hope, right? It's after all, at the end of the day, it's a hope. मेरा बच्चा पढ़ जाएगा तो शायद मेरी जो स्थिति है वो सुधर जाएगी. So that plays a very big role, and they're not willing to compromise.
Education is their moonshot. It's their big bet.
Yes,
and they
I've
don't
seen
want
it firsthand. They are not willing to compromise. So I'm not saying, you start very exorbitant prices, but it has to be relatable. For example, our prices, we felt that, probably in tier 3, 4, people are comfortable paying 1,500 per month.
Okay, nice.
You cannot, move beyond that. I spent 3 months doing nothing, literally talking to people, understanding the market, right, before we started doing this.
Nice.
So if 1,500 is the price point, then, you cannot expect someone to, because the moment you talk about कि offline से online में वो दे देंगे, offline में शायद वो साल का 50,000 भी दे देंगे, but when you are talking about online, then, they are not that, you have to build that trust, right? So that trust, plus it should be a little affordable for them, so that they don't miss out that offline experience, right?
This is a nice attempt. We talk about it a lot, but good to see someone, doing it, and good to see the in-depth of it, right? Because it's always like, okay, education is broken. We're solving it. We're solving it for this segment, that segment. But this was a good business conversation. Thank you so much, Kunal.
Thank you.
Cheers.